So you've got some extra cash on hand. Should you use it to pay down your debts? Or would it be a better idea to invest it in the stock market? Hello and welcome to Practical Personal Finance, where you get the information you need to understand and succeed with money. Today, I'm going to help you with an important decision when it comes to how to best manage your money. It's the age-old question of whether you should use your extra cash to pay off debt or to invest. I'm sure you've heard about all the virtues and benefits of living debt-free, as well as the importance of investing early and often, so that compound interest can do its thing and make you a millionaire later in life. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes breaking down the pros and cons of using that extra cash for debt payoff versus retirement savings. And then I'll tell you about my conclusions and recommendations based on your unique financial situation. Let's start with the most obvious and important point of contention, your return on investment, or ROI. Will you wind up with more money in the long run by paying off debt, or by using that spare cash to invest? The answer to that question will mostly depend on the interest rates you're dealing with. You see, paying off debt and investing are remarkably similar when it comes to making your money work for you. As an example, let's say I have $10,000 of student loan debt accruing 7% interest. I've got $10,000 in cash sitting in the middle of my kitchen table. I can use that cash to pay off my student loan in full, or I can buy $10,000 worth of shares in a mystical company that I happen to know will earn a 7% return. Not a penny more, not a penny less. If I use the $10,000 to pay my student loan in full, I'll wind up with no cash, but no student loan debt either. If I use the $10,000 to purchase the mystical shares and paused my student loan payments, after a year, my investment would be worth $10,700, and my student loan debt would now have a balance of $10,700. Because the interest rate on the student loan is equal to the rate of return on the investment, I'm going to break even. The trick then must be to predict accurately what rate of return you'll get from investing, and then simply compare that number to the interest rate on your debt. The problem, as you well know, is that it's notoriously difficult to predict with any degree of certainty what rate of return you'll get from investing. That is, unless you're talking about investing over a long period of time. Think 10, 15, 20 years or more. The stock market, over the long run, has always moved in the positive direction, and there's a very good chance that that trend will continue. But if you look closely at shorter time periods, say 5 years or less, there's a lot more volatility and a lot less certainty. The rate of return you get from paying off debt, though, is guaranteed. Whether it's over a period of a month or a decade, you know exactly what your rate of return will be because you know what the interest rate is. Sure, you might have debt with a variable interest rate, but at any given moment when you're choosing what to do with some extra money, you know precisely what the rate of return will be from choosing to pay off debt. And what about the tax implications? That $700 you earned earlier by investing in that mystical company will be subject to capital gains tax if and when you sell your shares and cash out. After Uncle Sam takes a 15% cut, you'll be down to just $595 in earnings. Your after-tax rate of return is just 5.95%. There are no tax implications when you choose to pay off debt. There's no capital gains tax to worry about. Your rate of return is simply equal to the interest rate on the debt you pay. Let's not forget about risk either. Yes, in the long run, you can be almost certain that you'll make money investing, especially if you have a well-diversified portfolio. But in the short term, as we discussed earlier, there's no way of knowing whether the market is going to go up or down. By investing, you're assuming some level of risk in exchange for the possibility of earning that positive return on investment. There's no guarantee you'll come out ahead. But when it comes to paying off debt, there's no risk, just the reward of moving one step closer to debt freedom. That's how I like to define peace of mind. So now, the big question. If you have some extra cash on hand, should you use it to invest or pay off debt? I know I've made paying off debt sound very attractive in the past few minutes, but the truth is, it's complicated. Personal finance is personal, and that means the right decision for you might not be the right decision for someone else. So in my mind, it's going to come down to your unique, specific situation. Let's look at a few examples. For this first one, let's say I've got $20,000 worth of credit card debt with an average interest rate of 18%. Not a good situation to be in. If I happen to have $5,000 sitting in the middle of my kitchen table, should I use it to pay down my credit cards or invest in the stock market? I can get an immediate 18% rate of return by paying the credit cards down. If I instead invested that $5,000 in the stock market, it's really unlikely I'll see anywhere near that rate of return. Yes, there's always the possibility that I'll invest in the next Microsoft or Apple or Amazon and become a multimillionaire, but the odds are definitely stacked against me. The guaranteed 18% rate of return makes this one a no-brainer. I would use the money to pay down my credit card debt. Second example, let's say I've got $50,000 of student loan debt with an average interest rate of 6%, and there's $15,000 sitting in the middle of my kitchen table. Should I pay off some of my loans or invest it? This one is a little less clear-cut. I believe the key to this decision involves how long it's going to take me to get those loans paid off. If I could clean up the remaining $35,000 in 18 months, a 6% guaranteed rate of return is looking pretty good. There's no way of knowing what will happen in the stock market in that period of time. But if I knew that I was going to have to grind this out for 7 or 8 years because I was barely scraping by, I might invest that $15,000 and take my chances. Over that many years, it's a pretty sure bet that I'll make some money. Who knows, I might even see an average annual rate of return of 8 or even 10%. In order to make the right choice, I'll need to figure out how long it's going to take me to pay off those student loans. And to do that, I'll need to evaluate my income, my future earning potential, and my monthly expenses. Alright, final example. Let's say I've got no debt other than my mortgage of $300,000 at 4% interest. And this time I've got $25,000 sitting in the middle of my kitchen table. Invest or chuck it at the house? Well, I've got a guaranteed 4% rate of return if I chuck it at the house. But whether or not I do that, I've probably still got at least 10 or 15 years before that mortgage is paid in full. Given that time frame, I can reasonably expect to see an average annual rate of return of more than 4% if I used my extra cash to invest in the stock market. So that's probably what I would do. When you're deciding whether you should use your extra cash to pay off debt or invest, I think it really comes down to what type of debt it is and your time horizon for when you're planning to have it paid off. If paying off your debt is a short-term thing, which I believe it should be in the case of student loans, auto loans, and credit cards, then that's where you need to be putting your money. But if you've got a while to go before you're completely debt-free, including your home, and you've got low-interest debts, then investing is the way to go. For what it's worth, unless it's my mortgage, I'm going all in on paying down debt. I'm doing whatever I can to boost my income while cutting my expenses to the bone. There's tremendous peace of mind that comes with being debt-free, and I think it's well worth sacrificing for a short period of time in order to get the job done. What are your thoughts on the topic? I'd love to hear about your unique situation and what approach you're taking. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, you might like my video on the topic of compound interest. Click right here to learn about why Albert Einstein once called it the eighth wonder of the world. And if you'd like to show your support for my channel, click right here to become a subscriber. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Andrew Shear, and I'll see you next time.